大家好，我是 Oliver Branch Allen. 4.5 years ago, I did something that I thought I would never do in my life. I did actually, in fact, two things I thought I would never do in my life rolled into one. Number one, I never thought I'd learn to swim freestyle. And number two, that I would do an Ironman competition. This is because I've never been a good swimmer. I just seem to sink like a rock whenever I'm in the water. And to combine them together into one event was like my worst nightmare. I immediately got buyer's remorse once I registered for the event. So why did I do that? Without getting too spiritual, but I've had these instances, call it an instinct or a gut feeling throughout my life that kind of scared me but excited me at the same time. Like when I decided to go backpacking alone in South America after graduation from college, or when I was moving to China many years ago. These instances were very scary to me at that time, but something also drew me into doing them. It was going to be tough and immensely uncomfortable at times, but I knew that it was going to be immensely important and beneficial for me in the long run, and I haven't been wrong yet. So when this opportunity came to me to do the half Ironman team relay, I chose the portion that scared me the most. I had 2 months to learn to do the freestyle stroke for 1.9 kilometers. Training began immediately after signing up, and I immediately felt I was in unfamiliar grounds, a public swimming pool. I went to hire a swim instructor to properly learn to swim, but all the instructors were unavailable at the time, so I made YouTube my swim instructor. The first month of training was brutal, and I barely made any progress at all at the freestyle stroke. And it wasn't until 2 weeks into my training that I had a light bulb moment where I felt at ease and I was finally able to turn my head to breathe. I was overjoyed that I can finally at last swim a pool length without stopping. Maybe I could have actually get the freestyle stroke after all. Weeks went by and I was barely able to improve on the freestyle stroke. I was barely able to finish a lap without getting completely gassed out. I figured it was my legs that was really gassing me out, because I had to kick vigorously just to keep them afloat, but it did barely nothing to propel me forward. I had 3 weeks left before the race start, and I can still barely swim 100 meters with a freestyle stroke. So that was when I made the decision to switch back to doing the breaststroke technique. I spent the last 2 weeks brushing up on my breaststroke technique, and even was able to complete 2 kilometers in a pool. So I felt pretty confident that I can complete 1.9 kilometers within 50 minutes. Days leading up to the race, I felt pretty confident and ready, but there was one more detail I had to iron out, and that was whether to race in a wetsuit or a tri-suit. Putting on the wetsuit was super annoying as it was extremely difficult to put on, as it was also very restrictive and difficult to swim in. In contrast, the tri-suit was a spandex-like material that actually felt super comfortable to swim in, as if it was just like my own skin. The day before the race, I got to the race site hoping that I can test out the waters by going in for a swim in the lake, but I got there too late and missed the practice session. I splashed some water with my hands to feel out the warmth of the water, and it felt warm. It felt like I could swim in this, even though it was during the warmest time of the day and also during the shallowest part of the lake. However, it did give me the feeling that I could swim in the tri-suit. I woke up and started my morning at 5 a.m., excited and feeling positive about my performance. We were all jostling in the start line, and although everybody was wearing a wetsuit, it didn't actually bother me that I was the only one wearing a tri-suit. The race official signaled for me to start, and so I dove in and started to breaststroke immediately right off the bat, just like I was planning it. 10 strokes in, and I had to stop as I was gasping for air. My heart rate and breathing rate was through the roof. Also, I couldn't see anything past my nose. It was all brown darkness. I sighted a paddleboard volunteer, whom were all dotted along the outer side of the swim route to help guide swimmers, and I desperately swam to the next closest one. I tried to calm down and to regain my composure before pushing off and swimming, targeting the next paddleboard volunteer, as I could not put my head underneath that freezing cold water. This was nothing like my training, and my confidence had all but vanished. I started to feel immense pressure as the idea of forfeiting was ever increasing with each attempt for me to swim. And every time I thought about giving up, all I kept thinking about was all that time and energy that my teammates had put in preparation for this race was going to be dashed because of me. Positive self-talk. Okay, Alan, don't think about the 1.9 kilometers. Chunk it down. Just target the next paddleboard. It was so cold, my hands and feet were going numb, and so all I could really do was focus on doing 3 strokes at a time. But I was also stressing out that I wouldn't make it to the finish line before the cutoff time of 1 hour and 10 minutes, after which my team and I would be disqualified. Then to make matters worse, my right thigh cramped up. But I still stayed positive and I drudged on through until the finish line was finally within sight. I climbed out of the water and onto the pontoon, but my legs were not functioning properly. I was very wobbly and unstable, and my right thigh was seizing up fast. I had about 100 meters to tag my teammate for her to take off. I ran over there as fast as I could, without completely losing balance and face planting. When I tagged her and she took off, I looked at the time and it said 59 minutes. The next 15 minutes, I spent shivering uncontrollably on the grass.
I'm not even trying to.
As it was probably one of the most coldest experiences in my life. I think I might have been close to getting hypothermia, to be honest. But the rest of